You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Can you smell that? It's finally game day. Let's get into it with the lead. Okay, what do you got for today?
Skinner isn't a starting goaltender.
I have Fire Dustin Schwartz.
Okay, next one I got. This team will never learn.
Emerson sucks. Where's CC?
Oh, last one I got. I can't believe Nurse makes $9.25 million.
Okay, I got Jeff Skinner got bought out for a reason. So I think we're good there. Let's get into it with the lead. Starting our Friday by enjoying a nice Cold Nation beer, and we're enjoying it Drysidle style. Let's get into it with the lead. The good news is we're still a long way from 2-9-1. Let's get into it with the lead.
I have a message. I have a message for Jay Downton. I have a message for Wanye Gretz. I have a message for every Nation citizen and every member of Oilers Nation who was hoping they would lose tonight so I would eat cat food. And here's my message. I hope that on June 24th, 2025, when the Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup, I hope you feel shame. I hope you know deep down that at some point you wanted this hockey team to lose. I hope that one day you find the confidence in this team to be willing to wager your own taste buds. I hope that one day you're willing to put on the line yourself eating cat food because of how confident you are in this team. It feels great. I'm feeling great right now, but I feel bad because I think you should all feel bad as Oilers fans. This is a great moment. The Edmonton Oilers are going to turn it around from here on out. And when they do, I hope you feel shame that you didn't believe in it. Message over.
Next time we eat cat food, it's going to be out of the Stanley Cup. Let's get into it with the lead. Game day edition of the show, and it's all brought to you by Amazon Prime. We will never forget that 2-goal performance from Brett Kulak. Actually, we might. Let's get into it with the lead. I know no one likes moral victories, but if the Oilers play that well against that team in a best of 7, they win it in 6 games. Let's get into it with the lead. It's Edmonton against the team they last played in the Stanley Cup. Oh, wait. No. That's Florida, not Carolina. Let's get into it with the lead. The Edmonton Oilers lost because fans were doing the wave. Wait. No, it's Stuart Skinner's fault. Let's get into it with the lead. No, I can't. I can't. It's tempting, though. Let's get into it with the lead. Sid versus Connor on a Friday night. Doesn't get any better than that. Let's get into it with the lead.
The Edmonton Oilers are back at 500. Let's get into it.
Whoa. I just had a really messed up nightmare. The Oilers gave up 6 to the Blue Jackets, and McDavid got hurt.
Wow.
Goddamn. Let's get into it with the lead. Hunger strike until McDavid's back. Who's in? Let's get into it with the lead. Suddenly, this whole eating cat food idea doesn't sound too bad. How badly do the Oilers need Connor McDavid? Let's get into it with the lead. The Oilers beat the Flames. They've won 2 in a row. And Connor McDavid's return could be earlier than expected. Woo! Let's get into it with the lead. The most scheduled loss in the history of scheduled losses. Let's get into it with the lead. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Nah.
Let's get into it with the lead. Oh, sorry. I totally Bouchard the intro there. Let's get into it with the lead. Whoop. It's a Mail It In Friday, everybody. That one's for the podcast listeners. That's a beer cracking. Let's get into it with the lead. I have a message for Canucks fans. Come here. Suck it. Let's get into it with the lead. Time to talk about the Islanders for an hour. Let's get into it with the lead. Yesterday was a big milestone moment. The Oilers' penalty kill is above 60%.
Yes. Come on.
We did it. We did it. Let's get into it with the lead. In honor of McDavid getting his 1,000th point. 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10,
11,
12,
13,
14,
15,
16,
17,
18,
19,
20,
21,
22,
23,
24,
25,
26,
27,
28,
29,
30.
31. McDavid did it. 1,000 points. Liam, let's do it for real this time. 1,
2,
3.
4.
I'm just kidding. Let's get in. Les Oilers vont informer les Canadiens ce soir.
Connor McDavid, à 3 points.
Allions avec le leader. Les Oilers ont joui comme de la merde. And on that note, I'm done speaking French for the rest of the year. Let's get into it with the... Finally, something that happened in Ottawa benefited someone from Alberta. Let's get into it with the lead. The start to the season's been a disaster. The goaltending stinks. The team is too old. They can't skate. Everything's bad. They might not be a playoff team. They could be first place in the Pacific tonight. Let's get into it with the lead. The Edmonton Oilers are not first place in the Pacific Division. Let's get into it with the lead. Ready? Ready? Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're riding the... I like that you picked up on that. We're riding the roller coaster. Let's get into it with the lead. The Oilers don't play for like 4 more days. What are you even doing here? Let's get into it with the lead. Oh, sick. Oh, that would have been sick. Making Liam work during a Lions game. What sound does a lion make? Roar! Let's get into it with the lead. Man, another day without Oilers hockey. Wait, it's finally game day. Let's get into it with the lead. The Oilers pick up a win in Denver. I believe they call that joining the Mile High Club. Let's get into it with the lead.
Edmonton, Vegas, tonight.
1-0 loss to the Golden Knights. Back to panicking, everybody. Let's get into it with the lead. Zach Hyman back in the lineup. But where in the world is Victor Arvidsson? We investigate with the lead. Welcome in to our new home where the possibilities are endless. Let's get into it with the lead. Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day edition of the show, and Jay's not here yet. Wait, no. Liam's late today? What's going on? Let's get into it with the lead. Oilers edge the Lightning. Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is a new Oilers jersey, a spot on the next nation vacation, a case of nation beer, and an Oilers win in Minnesota. I don't even think you can make that happen, though. Let's get... Santa didn't just give us a win against the Minnesota Wild. He gave us a really big win. Let's get into it with the lead. 5 straight wins for the Edmonton Oilers, with 3 of them coming against some of the best teams in the NHL. But there's one thing that can stop them. Prime Monday night hockey. Let's get into it with the lead.
To kick or not to kick? That is the question.
I'm back after a day off. Let's see what the chat wants me to talk about. Oh boy, let's get into it with the lead. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Victor Arvidsson returns to the lineup. Let's get into it with the lead.
So yeah, as long as you water it now, it should live through Christmas, and then we just have to put it near sunlight more regularly.
Get into it with the lead. Monday, December 23rd, otherwise known as the biggest mail-it-in day in the history of capitalism. Let's get into it with the lead. Ho, ho, ho! Let's get into it with the lead. First show in a week. What's my line? What do I usually say? The lead. Let's get into it. Scenario: you wake up in a hospital. It's today, December 31st. The doctor says you've been in a coma for a full year, all of 2024. Your first question: who do the Oilers play tonight? He turns to you and says, a team from Utah. You go, a team from Utah? Let's get into it with the lead. Monday edition of the show. No, it's Thursday. God damn. Let's get into it with the lead. It's time to go duck hunting. Let's get into it with the lead. Over the holidays, I've had a chance to reflect and had long talks with my family about our future. And I'm here to say it's a cup year for the Edmonton Oilers. Let's get into it with the lead. Oilers Bruins? Sherwood Ford Giant game day? I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. Let's get into it with the lead. Either the Edmonton Oilers are really, really good or the Boston Bruins are really, really shitty. Let's get into it with the lead. All right. Are we almost ready to get going here? Fire up. Fuck are you? Get out of here. You don't get to sit here when Liam's gone. Evander Kane gets another surgery that will keep him out 12 more weeks. The playoffs are 13 weeks away. What a break for Stan Bowman. Let's get into it with the lead. Happy birthday, dear Connor. Now go beat the shit out of the LA Kings. Let's get into it with the lead. Oh, shit. The Oilers won 1-0. Hey, there we go. Let's get into it with the lead. John Klingberg. Same John Klingberg that's only played 31 games in 2 years. Let's get into it with the lead. A goal, an assist, and a blatant elbow to an opponent's head. We call that a Rafi Torres hat trick around these parts. Let's get into it with the lead. John Klingberg. Let's get into it with the lead. Welcome into Oilers. Get this mic out of my face. Let's get it. The lead. It's Ovechkin versus Draisaitl. Russia versus Germany. When was the last time those two were on opposite sides? Let's get into it with the lead. We at Oilers Nation are disappointed in the 3-game suspension given to Captain Connor McDavid, and we share the team's frustration about Connor's frustration. We support the team as they support Connor being through this process, and we look forward to seeing him back in the lineup for Seattle next week and hope Lenny enjoys all the extra walks he'll get this week. Let's get into it with the lead. Connor Garland says he is public enemy number 1 in Edmonton. Who responds the bulk of Oilers fans? Let's get into it with the lead. Let's check in on how old public enemy number 1 did last night. 15 and a half minutes, -2, 4 penalty minutes, 2 giveaways, got Lil Boyd by Leon Draisaitl. Not bad. Let's get into it with the lead. Sorry, I'm looking for whatever the hell Jeff Skinner did to Chris Knobloch. Let's get into it with the lead. Score a goal into an empty net. Check. Beat a goalie by any means possible. Check. Now we just need Janmark to use his stick to beat a goalie. Let's get into it with the lead. Man, Jeff Skinner scratched after scoring a goal. They would never do something like that to Matthias Janmark.
This just in from Bob Stoffer. Matthias Janmark, 4th line this morning at morning skate.
Hello? 911? Yes, Oilers Nation Everyday didn't start on time again. Oh, that's not an emergency. Okay, let's get into it with the lead. Stuart Skinner allowed 2 goals on 2 shootout attempts. That never happens. That's brutal. What was that? Oh, it happened 11 days ago in the NHL. Let's get into it with the lead. I can't decide what I want to do to start the show today. You know what? Quick 30-second timeout. Buy myself a little bit of time here to decide. Let's get into it with the lead. I thought Jay was handling the start of the show today. Oh, let's get into it with the lead. Whew, what a beauty by Connor McDavid in overtime. He made those 2 Blues players look really stupid. Who were they? Oh, that's good. Let's get into it with the lead. So when you put a 30-goal scorer with a skilled centerman, he starts to play better. Shit, who would have thought? Let's get into it with the lead. It is the last Oilers game for 14 days. Cherish it. Hold it tight. Yell at the TV extra hard. Let's get into it with the lead.
Today, it is just me and my notepad. Let's get into it with the lead.
Live from Montreal, where in just over 24 hours, the 4 nations will begin facing off. Let's get into it with the lead. At one point, it felt like just a dream, like it would never happen. But tonight, we will finally see 4 nations face off. Let's get into it with the lead. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how you hook that hockey game from last night right into my veins. Let's get into it with the lead. Circle of trust. I want to say something. I don't want anyone to judge me, all right? Freebird is the coolest effing goal song of all time. Let's get into it with the lead. Oh, Jesus. Why do they call it Beantown? Let's get into it with the lead. Yes. Before we start, it's real brick. Let's get into it with the lead. If I have to hear Freebird one time tonight, I'm going to rip my ears off my head. Let's get into it with the lead.
This is a message to the United States of America. Canada is better than you.
12 goals against in 2 games. Gonna mark that down. Not good. All right, let's get into it with the lead.
I have a bruised right toenail, and now it feels like my right foot is slightly bigger than my left. Shit.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't feel like a cup year. Let's get into it with the lead. The Edmonton Oilers are in Florida for the first time since... Oh, God. Let's not get into that with the lead. Didn't think we'd get to this point, Liam. Are you going to press it? Are you going to... let's get into it with the lead. So it turns out every forward on the team has a no movement clause and can't be traded. Good thing I didn't throw this out. Let's get into it with the lead. Trent Frederick is an Oiler? I feel like someone was talking about this not that long ago. Let's get into it with the lead. Hyman stinks, Nuge stinks, Arvidsson stinks, Henrique stinks, Skinner doesn't play, Janmark stinks, Perry is old, Connor Brown stinks, Kapanen stinks, Podkolzin stinks, Savoy just got sent down, Nurse stinks, Ekholm stinks, Bouchard stinks, Kulak stunk, Klingberg is awful, Emberson stinks, Stetcher doesn't play, where's Alex Regula? Let's get into it with the lead. I'm doing my best Stan Bowman, doing nothing. Hello, let's get into it with the lead. Brad Marchand, Brandon Carlo, Mikko Rantanen, Pretty sure only one team got Max Jones. Let's get into it with the lead. Skinner's dialed, Arvidsson's back, and Jake Wallman's a top pairing defenseman. Cup year's back on. Let's get into it with the lead. Sometimes you just lose to good hockey teams. And sometimes you lose to the Buffalo Sabres. Let's get into it with the lead. Top 6, Jeff Skinner. Over, under 8 shifts until he's moved off that line. Let's get into it with the lead. Will tonight be the beginning of a 10-game heater, or will today finally be the day I win my roll up the rim? Let's get into it with the lead. Yeah. Yeah, no, you can just go ahead and outright cancel it. Yeah, no, I won't be needing anything like that. No, the parade's off. Okay, thank you. Let's get into it with the lead. Yeah, and then we'll go down River Valley Road, and then we'll turn on the Walterdale Bridge. Yeah. No, I'm aware of what I said last week, but the Oilers are back. Let's get into it with the lead. Can I get I'll get an Oilers win? Biggest one you got. Let's get into it with the lead.
Well, I think the Oilers listening to the show yesterday. Let's get into it.
We are live on a boat. That is all. Let's get into it with the lead. The Edmonton Oilers fall. Oh, what? I'm being pulled by the concussion spotter? God damn it. Nuge! Let's get into it with the lead. Oh, sorry, I'm doing my best impression of Evan Bouchard's agent after seeing the Jacob Chikrin extension. Let's get into it with the lead. I heard your feedback about yesterday's show, and I'm willing to listen and adjust. 1 hour of straight Evan Bouchard talk starts now. Let's get into it with the lead. Mamma mia, look at all this chaos. Let's get into it with the lead. All right. Ollie Rodrigue plays a game, and Troy Stetcher at forward. That's a bingo. Let's get into it with the lead.
One shot of Fireball Deep and $100 in baseball bets placed. It's a nation vacation. Let's get into it with the lead.
Am I live?
Yep.
I'm live. We're live in Vegas. Let's get into it with the lead.
Hold on. God, that was a lot harder to take off than I thought. Me, I can now. Go Oilers, go. Let's get into it, Reese.
Oilers versus Sharks. I haven't seen a mismatch this bad since Waz and the craps table. Let's get into it with the lead. The Oilers versus empty nets. I haven't seen a mismatch this bad since Waz at the craps table. Let's get into it with the lead. There we go. What a weekend it was for the Edmonton Oilers. Psych. Wait, I'm killing time. Today's edition of the lead has officially lasted longer than Trent Frederick's first shift. Let's get into it with the lead. Lucas Dostal versus the Edmonton Oilers. I haven't seen a mismatch this bad since Waz in the craps table. Let's get into it with the lead. The Oilers versus their injury list. I haven't seen a matchup this bad since Waz versus the craps table. Let's get into it with the lead.
Tyler's unavailable for the show today, so it's all down to me, Liam. Let's get into it with the lead.
100 likes in the YouTube chat and I'll buy a motorcycle. Let's get into it with the lead.
Half the roster is missing limbs, and you want to worry about home ice? Let's get into it with the lead. The LA Kings say that another team is trying to intentionally hurt someone? Pot? Kettle? Let's get into it with the lead. Go for a nice walk, cook a nice dinner, go to the movies. These are just all things you could do instead of watch Game 82 between the Oilers and Sharks tonight. Let's get into it with the lead. LA Kings, Burger Kings, Lion Kings don't care. Oilers in 5. Let's get into it with the lead. What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.